It just came to me that, Dil se Hindustani ho. I just thought it's such an Indian thing to say. Ki wherever you go, Indians are Indians.
And I got an audition call for White Tiger. So my first thought was, yaar, ke chodo, matlab, let's just focus on the task at hand because White Tiger is too big anyway. This is way out of my league. I'm not going to get it. So what's the point?
For me, the book was a celebration but an indictment of humanity. But it ended in a celebratory note. It was very important for me because a lot of people who read the book were like, oh my God, it's so dark. I was like, no, it's not dark. It's like, yes, I made it. I made it out of the coop.
Mukul, you've had this book for years, if I'm not mistaken, for over a decade plus, right? You've been meaning to make this into a film?
To be honest with you, for the first 5 years of the decade, there was a bunch of other people involved. And it was only about 5 years ago that I was the sole shepherd. And here we are.
Through the process, in terms of you having rights to the text, did it go through a lot of casting? Did it go through a lot of change in directors? What's the process been like for you to bring it up finally to the screen?
It's been a Ramayana, like a Ramayana and a Mahabharata, honestly.
Ramayana starring Ramani.
Now it is that, and that is the best version of it. Yeah, there was, some stuff before, writers, there were some other producers involved, all that stuff. But after I became the sole holder, which was about 4 or 5 years ago, I was just looking for writers and directors. I met Ramin, I think 3.5, 4 years ago, and we spoke. And, I knew the book was dedicated to him. So I knew he knew the book well. I by then had become an authority on the book. I had, read it like 5,000 times in 6 years. So I know it verbatim. But here I found someone who knew it as well as I did, if not better, because he had read drafts of the book, which I had never read, The main thing was, honestly, when we met, that, for me, the book was a celebration, but an indictment of humanity. But it ended in a celebratory note. It was very important for me because a lot of people who read the book were like, oh my God, it's so dark. I was like, no, it's not dark. It's like, yes, I made it. I made it out of the coop. And that's the first conversation I had with Ramin, that what do you feel? And he said, I feel the same thing. And then we were like, let's go.
And that's because the author, Adiga and Ramin used to be flatmates, if I'm not mistaken. They were very close friends.
Very, 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 very close friends. They were in Columbia University together. That's what Aravind showed him drafts of the book as he was writing it. And it was Ramin's dream. Ramin waited 15 years to make this movie and I waited 10 years. So we laugh. Between us, it's a quarter of a century that we've got going. And honestly, it's insane when you think about it. The convolutions that I had to get to reach there and the convolution that Ramin had to go to his career to reach that point where this was possible on such a level, to get such an amazing team together and to get Netflix and to set it up in such a way, the chances are 0%, you know what I mean? But it happened.
Raj, you were working with Ramin, and this would, if I'm not mistaken, be your first time with a non-Indian director, although the subject is deeply Indian. You are perhaps the insider to the subject more than the filmmaker himself. I'm sure he was visiting India and trying to figure out what life is like. Is this a very different tuning, as it were, a person from outside who's making a film on India?
I think by the time I met him, Ramin was already half Indian. Because he knew these characters so well. He did his research so well that he knew it inside out. But of course, on set, there were times when I would, all of us would tell him that, this is how it happens in India, and a few things in and there, very detailed things. But otherwise, I think he pretty much knew everything about the characters, about the way he wanted to tell the story. And for me, it was not really different in the process, because the kind of filmmakers I've worked here, be it, Hansal sir or Amar or so many of them, be it Anurag sir, the process is pretty much the same, that, you take your actor to that point where they start exploring, they start becoming the character, they start living in the moment. And that's what Ramin does. He really pampers his actors, which I love. And it gives you a lot of freedom to explore it, then and there. And the best thing about him is there's no pressure when you're working with him, because he never says action.
Okay.
He just says whenever you're ready, which I love. I won't say it's a pressure, but that thing of the word action, now it's starting.
Right.
It's not there. Just that, take your time. It's easy whenever you're ready. He's a great filmmaker, but also a great guy. He's a buddy now. He's somebody who's very sensitive. He's somebody who understands this world really well. And he would talk to me about my personal life, about my parents' loss, and about everything. So he was not only a director to me. He was a friend. He was a companion.
Was there any moment you can remember, Raj, where you thought, okay, maybe a character in Delhi from a background that you are from will not say this or will not react this way? It's a double take you did. Said, okay, maybe he'll say it differently, or at least not the way it's written.
Well, I just wanted to make Ashok very human because in the book, actually, if you read the book again, it's pretty much he's a negative guy. Like you don't really like him too much. But he, for me, when I read the script and I read the book again, I just wanted to make him human. He's also a guy who's aspirational. He just wants to do well in just wants to do well in life. He wants to he wants to secure his future. He's madly in love with his wife, and of course, how the circumstances they change everything for him. He becomes a part of the same system that he never agreed with. I think for me the arc was pretty much there in the script, and I just my when I came on board, I just thought let me just make him as humane as possible.
What I mean by that is in terms of not so much the character, but in terms of how the character would respond, like phonetically, in terms of what he would say, what a Dilli wala will say is impossible for, I'm presuming, the director would not know it in the sense of going that deep into it, right?
There are a couple of improvisations which we did, me and Adarsh, and we improvised in a lot of scenes. That whole drunk scene where we both are sitting on his bed
Right.
and start singing, and this is one line which it just came to me that Dil se Hindustani that just I just thought it's such an Indian thing to say. Ki wherever you go, Indians are Indians, and Ashok is somebody who's born and brought up here.
Right.
He wants to fit in. He wants to feel like an American, but his roots are there. He's still an Indian by heart. And by the time, as you know, like it happens, the first thing people pick when they come here, especially foreigners, are abusive words. So when I started improvising, Ramin knew all these words pretty well.
I'm going to come to you, Adarsh, because this is going to be a pretty long one. I don't want to read anything on the internet about you because we know nothing. We know absolutely nothing about you. Basically take us from scratch in terms of who you are, where you're from, and how do you land up here? Because this is like a breakout role for any actor, like a dream role for any actor in the world to be one starring with Rajkumar Rao as a star in his own right, plus an international project that's going to go across the world. I've read some of the reviews that have appeared in the Western press. It's being compared to Slumdog Millionaire already. Take us through, how did you land up here?
I actually belong to Jamshedpur. When I was in the 8th grade, my father got posted to Bombay and my whole family decided to relocate to Bombay. And up until then, I was learning Hindustani classical music. And one of the reasons why my family relocated to Bombay was because my parents thought that I would have a potential career in music.
Are you a vocalist?
I'm a vocalist, yeah. I used to sing for a couple of bands in college, but originally I'm a classical singer. So acting was completely accidental. I was performing at Kala Ghoda Festival and somebody saw me and asked me if I was interested in acting. And like any other excited teenager, I said yes for the thrill of coming on TV. And I went to a passport size photo studio with my father, got 3 photos clicked because they were like, my photos चाहिए. Both me and my father had no idea what they meant by that. And we sent them passport size photos. And they were like, iska kya karenge hum? We want a proper portfolio shoot. So then I went to this place called Studio 19, Juhu. I got 10 photos for $3,000. And this was 2008. I was in 9th grade or 8th grade. And from there on, I started auditioning.
Which TV show was it, Adarsh, that you were then first part of?
The first project that I was part of was My Name is Khan, where I played the young Shah Rukh Khan. And at that point in time, my family probably felt that this would happen only once because I shot for 3 days, and on all 3 different days, different members of my family came on set to see कि अच्छा ऐसा होता है, ये होता है फिल्म सेट, अच्छा ये होता है वैनिटी वैन, अच्छा खुद का कमरा भी मिलता है, क्या बात है, अच्छा यहाँ पे ऐसे सब साथ में मिलके खाना खाते हैं. करण जौहर तो और भी लंबा है असली जिंदगी में, मतलब ऐसी टाइप की. Over the years, I worked on a few films, I worked on a few web series, did a bunch of ads. Somewhere down the line, I decided that I wanted to take acting seriously. I think it was 2013 or 14. And cut to 2019, the first 5 months were sort of hard for me because work wasn't coming by. I was auditioning a lot, but I couldn't convert any audition for some reason. And then all of a sudden, in 1 month, I got 3 projects out of nowhere. And one of them was, I really wanted to be a part of it. It was with a filmmaker that I look up to and stuff. And that was when I got an audition call for White Tiger. So my first thought was यार के छोड़ो मतलब let's just focus on the task at hand because White Tiger is too big anyway. This is way out of my league. I'm not going to get it. So what's the point? But the reason I auditioned for it was because Tess Joseph, who casted for the film, I'd been trying to audition with her for a very long time, and this was the first time I got a call from her office. So I said, "Kuch nahi to at least if I give a decent audition, she'll call me again in the future. So let's just go and give an audition. Let's not overthink this." And I had read the book as a teenager, so I had a context to the book and the character. So I just went thinking that I'm not going to give this audition, and then 1 month later, Ramin called me and told me that we want you as Balram, and I had the most anticlimactic reaction because you build up this big moment in your life and you play it over and over again where you're like कुछ crazy होगा तो मैं तो पागल हो जाऊंगा चिल्लाऊंगा और somersaults मारूंगा पता नहीं क्या करूंगा और मेरा reaction था oh thanks because I didn't know what else to say like it was too big for me to understand what had happened and yeah this was June of 2019.
I mean, there's a line, Mukul, in the film which says something to the effect of the reason why they'll never find him, they'll never find Balram is because his face is like the face of half of India. Now that's a very tough face to pick, then, right? For a part like that, he has to look like half of India, which is which
That
would
is
be anyone, but they have to be great actors too, which half of India is not. Did you have multiple faces that look like half of India, and then finally everyone arrived at others?
I remember clearly seeing Adarsh in the audition, space that we had created with Tess. We had seen many people before that and we saw many people after that. Uh, and I felt clearly that this could be Balram. And, Ramin and me spoke and we both were like, this is the first person we've seen where we were clear that this can be Balram. So it was really that for us, you know what I mean? And then, of course, you saw him act and, he's an amazing actor. And yes, Balram looks like half of India. I'm not going to say that. Adarsh is a very handsome guy. So he's
Yes.
the handsomest side of half of India. Yes.
I mean, it's a very strong screen presence, more than handsome. I mean, it's just he knocks it out of the park with every scene. Raj, you made your debut about a decade ago, and this is a young actor you're working with. In this context, you're suddenly the veteran, right? He's trying to match wits with you. Is it a tough one? Because you work with people with very long filmographies, for that matter, even Priyanka, you're starring opposite. Is it more natural when it's someone's really new and is their first time in that strong a role, as it were?
Well, Adarsh was very much prepared when he came on set. I think he did his homework really well, and he's an amazing actor. As you know, as Mukul sir said, he is a really, really good actor. And I've seen him I've seen him act in Mom, in My Name Is Khan, and there's a film he did with Manoj sir, Rook, right, Adarsh? Rook. So I always knew that he is a really good actor. So it was not like for me, it was a surprise that here's this new guy who's performing so well. I had my expectations from him, and he, of course, surpassed those expectations. And his commitment towards this character was something which really inspired me a lot. He whatever praises he's getting for this part is he really deserved those praises because he's worked really hard for to play Balram. And for me as an actor, when you get a good co-actor in front of you, it's always amazing to do that scene. Because for me it's not only about your lines, his lines. You're trying to create a beautiful scene together. It's a teamwork, and for us, it was just about where we can take this scene from there, from what's on the papers. Let's take it forward from there. And Ramin really helped us in with that.
Personally, for you, Adarsh, given how important this role is for the film to work, I mean, the lead doesn't work, the film doesn't work. It's somehow as straight and simple as that. For something like this, did you hang out with people of the class? Did you spend time what a lot of actors might want to do to be absolutely right in terms of reading between the lines for parts like this? Like, did you actually go through a process which is outside a basic workshop?
My biggest high of being an actor is the preparation time. Like that's where I have the real fun. When I get time to prepare for it, and I think I was extremely lucky that I got 3.5 months to prep as and for Balram. So what I did instantly was I packed off my bags and went to a village in Jharkhand called Chalkari Basti. I actually, through a friend, I befriended a guy who used to stay next to my building, and in our third meeting, I convinced him to take me to his house. And initially, he was a little weirded out by my straightforwardness. But then I told him that it's something that I'm preparing for, and he agreed because we had a conversation about life and our parents and stuff, and he hadn't gone back to his village for almost a year. So then we changed 5 modes of transportation between Bombay to his village. Reached his village. I spent 2 weeks there anonymously. I requested him to not tell anybody that I'm an actor, and I was, even his family didn't know I was an actor. For them, I was just a friend who was trying to help him write a story about the village. And through him, I met the entire village. I met the elders in the village. I met his friends. I had some eye-opening experiences. Just the way they think about people in the city, what they think about, what their aspirations are. I just wanted to understand all that. After spending a couple of weeks there, I came to Delhi, and this was in August. And I thought that I should work at a place similar to what Balram worked at, because Balram works at a tea store and he hates working there. He feels like he doesn't belong there, and he's meant for bigger things. So I got myself a job at a Redi in Saket in Delhi. Uh, so basically, for 2 days, I was looking for a job. I would go from one lady to the other, asking them to give me a job, and I would be dressed in not in Adarsh's clothes, of course, but in Balram's clothes. I would wear my hair like that and keep my beard very untidy and unkempt. And I think I wouldn't have bath for like weeks and days together. It took me 3 days to get a job because nobody was giving me a job without an ID card. Everybody wanted to see my PAN card. On my PAN card, it was Adarsh and Adarsh's face, and I was introducing myself as Balram. And finally, a guy gave me a job for 100 rupees a day, where I would be cleaning plates and cleaning the floor and serving people. So I worked at a stall like that in Saket for 2 weeks, and I absolutely hated it. And there would be moments in the day when I was cleaning the plates, sitting next to the gutter, and there would be these huge bandicoots running next to me, and I would be like, "Why am I doing this to myself?" But then, like, this is exactly what Balram would have thought when he was in the village, that why am I doing this to myself? Why can't I go have a better life than working at a tea shop? So I somehow managed to sustain there for 2 weeks till we started reading for the film and started breaking the scenes down. Then on, I would just wear Balram clothes and roam around Delhi and sit with random people, have conversations with random people. And I think my biggest validation was when I was just walking towards my hotel. And I think on one of those days, Mukul also saw me squatting outside my hotel. I was just squatting and smoking.
Great scene. I'll never forget it. I was just going to say that actually.
So Mukul, I think he was going to the mall to buy something, and
So
I was just on
Saket, it
the,
was Saket, outside Saket
yeah.
Mall, yeah. And on the left was, a bunch of drivers hanging out. I can see the face clearly, and others were just sitting out there, and he just looked at me like this, like dead. He just clocked me like that. There was no movement on his face. And then he gave out a little bit of a smile, I think.
I mean, you recognize him, right?
Yeah, no, of course. I recognize
Yeah.
him, but he just fit in. He was invisible. He was invisible, like Balram is invisible, to his master, So it
Right.
was amazing, and I was like, wow.
So during one such day, there was I was walking towards my hotel, and एक आदमी था जो 407 में ना, वो जो छोटी सी एक लॉरी टाइप की होती है जिसपे कंस्ट्रक्शन रॉड्स रखे होते हैं, तो he was parking his vehicle next to my hotel, and he saw me, and I was just walking past him, and he said, "ओए इधर आ." तो पहले तो मुझे लगा कि ये मुझे बुला रहा है, किसी और को बुला रहा है, फिर मुझे समझ आया कि नहीं, मुझे ही बुला रहा है। तो फिर मैं गया, और उन दिनों मुझे बहुत डर भी लगता था लोगों से बात करते हुए, क्योंकि मैं मेट्रो वेट्रो में भी जाता था, तो कभी मैंने किसी लड़की को देखा तो मुझे डर लगता था कि पता नहीं मैं पिट ना जाऊं यहाँ पे। तो मैं बहुत संभल संभल के रहता था और आई कांटेक्ट मेंटेन नहीं करता था। तो उसने जब मुझे ऐसे बुलाया, मैं गया वहां पे, एंड ही सेड, ये उठाने में मदद कर दोगे, 20 रुपए दूंगा तुमको चाय पानी के लिए। So that moment when I didn't even open my mouth, and I was just crossing, and he called me and asked me to do this. Like, I think that was when I was like, no, I am Balram. There is no doubt about it. Like, people just, I don't have to say anything even now. And just things like these, I used to get followed in my own hotel by the manager and his staff. They used to follow me to my room, because it was like a चाची 420 situation, जहाँ पे दिन में मैं बलराम के कपड़ों में निकल रहा हूँ और फिर शाम को मैं आदर्श के कपड़ों में मॉल जा रहा हूँ। तो उनको लगता था पता नहीं ये कौन है।
Something fishy, right.
Something fishy, something happening, and I wouldn't let them inside the room to create the suspense, to fuel the suspense. मैं जानबूझ के उनको रूम में साफ नहीं करने देता था, ताकि उनको लगे कि मैं कुछ ऑफ आदमी हूँ। So finally,
Why would you do that? What pleasure are you getting out of that?
I was just playing around with them. So finally, when on the last day they came, my entire room was filled with chart papers and photos of Raj and Priyanka and Mahesh sir and all. So they got really scared. They probably thought I was a contract killer or something.
Right,
They were
right,
like,
exactly.
"What is this random guy doing with photos of all these important people in his hotel room?" So it's quite an experience.
Well, for you, Raj, is there a scene you can remember through the making of the film that you would consider as an actor perhaps the toughest one that you did during the course of this film?
Well, technically, I think the last scene, because it was pouring so hard and I had to breathe in that rain. And I was telling Adarsh, there was a moment where, of course, I don't want to reveal much, but
Yeah.
technically it was very tough. I think physically it was tough. And it was damn cold. It was like almost December end in Delhi and cold water pouring on your body. So it was crazy. But apart from that, I think a lot of scenes, I would say that drunk scene was pretty beautiful, the way we shot it. And I love the relationship that Ashok and Balram share, because
Right.
sometimes they're friends, sometimes they're really like brothers, and suddenly the relationship shifts, and suddenly he becomes his master, and then again the next scene he will become pretty emotional about him. So I love the relationship that these two share with each other in the film. I think the credit goes to the writing. And there's one scene where I think when of course Priyanka leaves him and he's sitting there crying, and he's like he's madly in love, and he can't deal with this breakup that she wants a divorce. And then he comes with this. He thinks as a nice girlfriend that he's gonna give him some nice food, and he's like, "Fuck." It was, yeah, that scene was pretty nice.
Mukul, the reviews in the Western press are out, and practically each one that I've read so far either compares it to Slumdog Millionaire or compares it to Parasite, which is actually great news if you consider for the fact that if you're looking for an Oscars run, then the comparison is already being made. These two movies really swept the Oscars. Is something that was there in your mind as a producer, as a filmmaker? Really hope that we get there at some point?
I would be lying, Mike, if I said that it wasn't there from the very beginning. I always thought that, honestly. That was always my dream, and it still is my dream. That when I read this book, the first time when I read this book, 10 years ago, and it just blew my mind. And I was like, I thought about it as a movie, and I really thought that why can't this, sweep the greatest stage, which is the Oscars, basically. So all along the process of me making it, that was an important consideration for me. Working with Ramin as well, working with Netflix as well, Netflix America, along with Netflix India, but Netflix America as well. So this was an important, very important thing for me, through the whole process. And I've spoken about it. We've all spoken about it so much with Raj and Adarsh and Priyanka as well, and Ramin, of course, we speak all the time. Um, I'm very happy about the reviews. I'm very happy that they are comparing us to two amazing movies. Of course, Parasite is, like Roma, like The White Tiger. It's about the similarities between the haves and the have-nots. Domestic help in all these three, common theme in all these three movies, and the different directions that they go in, different ways of making it. Slumdog, a little different version, but of course, for any Indian or any outsider looking at it, it's a natural thing, because that's just what they'll see. India, class struggle. But of course, that's much more, like he says in the in the movie. Don't expect there's going to be a fairy tale ending, like a game show ending or something like that.
Right,
So
right. Which is a direct
that's
reference to Slumdog to begin with.
oh yes, it is.
You're aware of the comparison while you're making the film.
With like Raj said and others said, the Hindi, and just trying to make it bridge that thing where people all over the world can relate to this amazing story, and see the universality in the story, but still keeping the authenticity that an Indian watches it and says, yes, this is reality as well. So I mean, that was a challenge that we always had, and I hope we've done a good job.
Others, if not the toughest scene, what is the toughest thing for you as an actor through this film? Like, what is the toughest thing that you had to crack and that you're happy about, or maybe not so happy about?
I think it was just overall a little tougher to play the Bangalore version of Balram once he becomes more successful.
Because all your homework was in Redis and being driver, no?
That, and also for the Bangalore part, my preparation was different. Like in the evenings, once I would get done with my work at the ready, I had called for, it was literally by the book. Like I had called for 3 or 4 textbooks on body language. So I was reading these textbooks on body language, how to appear confident, on what posture creates a certain impression, or how to be a successful businessman. There were these 3 or 4 books that I still have. So I constructed the Bangalore Balram character by the book. Like, I was like, okay, this is how he should be sitting and this is how he would be talking if he wants to appear as the alpha in the room. My reference was more from the book. Maybe that's why I was a little more nervous about it. And also, it was a character that I was like, I could relate to the Balram from the village more than the Balram from Bangalore. So it was further away from who I am as a person, and maybe that's why I thought it was more challenging. And also that we used to spend a lot of time on getting ready for it, because I didn't actually grow my hair that long, right? Obviously, so like my hair used to be plastered with wax, and then they would attach extensions to it and add a fake belly to it to me to give me age and to to look like uh, a certain person. So yeah, I think that bit overall was more challenging. But to be very honest with you, like I think I'm just a very nervous person, and I get nervous before every scene and before every film that I do, and every scene just makes me feel I'm very jittery and I'm very nervous. And with this, there was like a different kind of nervousness, because Ramin, till the day we shot that scene, himself would say, I'm also searching with you. Let's search together, which was great. You always leave that little room for movie magic to happen and not fix and decide everything. And I think in that little bit of space is what like real performances come out, where like things like really hit you, because you can't plan certain things. You just allow them to happen. And I think that was a great quality of Ramin.
Adarsh, I think now, or I hope you look up how to wear a tuxedo, and that might just hopefully happen soon. Mukul, Raj, thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun, and all the best for the movie. I think it's
Thank you.
going to go really far. All the
Thank
best.
you, man. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.